and you talked a little bit about this even in your initial announcement. You're a brute. I mean, you're a borderline goon, Jason. If I'm in a playoff series, and I think Stan Van Gundy would agree, the Orlando coach that you guys beat, you were not favored in that series. You have one guy who's got to bring down a center in a 7-game series. Like, I'm taking Jason Collins in 2011. But it does, fly in the face of what, again, the representational issue of what we'd imagine a gay athlete to be, right? I mean, you're the big tough guy.
There's so many false stereotypes that are out there as far as like what a gay athlete, we come in all different shapes and sizes and personalities and mannerisms. I get it. I'm just going out there trying to play basketball the way that I was taught as far as being physical. A center is someone who, when the opposing player gets into the paint, like there has to be something. It's not going to be a layup. It's not going to be a dunk. It's going to be either a charge, a foul, a block shot. And with my jumping ability, it's not going to be a block shot. So it's going to be either a foul or a charge. And that's just the way that I play. And watching. I love to watch basketball, and I was watching I was just watching the Indiana Atlanta playoff series for something. And anytime I see a big man like Roy Hibbert, someone duck in and get deep low post position, like that's like I feel like putting on my mouthpiece and like going out there and like this is how you stop that. Like anytime someone steps across in front of you, you use your forearm and you chuck him in his chest. So
Pedro Antic, he's hanging out on the perimeter.
Yeah, but there's like so many times, and my brother now being the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, so he will impart that knowledge, that wisdom on their players, so that
like Andrew Bogut needs any encouragement.
And then you can also, if you're not going to be hit someone, then you can actually do what my brother and I had to do against Shaq, which is you just stand there with you anticipate the duck in, you put your chest there, and as soon as he touches you, you fall down like a sack of potatoes.
Jason Collins, admitted flopper. This does prompt the question. Okay, so it was Jason Collins, tough guy. What happens when the next guy is a European who people regard as finesse or soft? And we hear this coded language in basketball where, he's a finesse player, he's soft. You have a guy like Chris Bosh, who I think is an absolutely fantastic basketball player, selfless, multi-skilled. But, you go to basketball Twitter, you dig into basketball junkies, and he's basic Christina. And there are these stereotypes. So what happens, and it's not going to be as Chris is straight, but yeah, it's Jason Collins, model citizen, Stanford guy, total pros pro. What happens when it's a guy who doesn't conform?
Well, the biggest insult that you can call, especially in a contact sport, you can call a professional athlete is soft. That is, because this is mano a mano. Sometimes it's really, it can be a fight out there. And but you have to try to separate the two, as far as like him being a member of the LGBT community has nothing to do with his aggression level. It's who he is, just like my skin color is who I am. And there's no bearing on the fact whether you're aggressive or passive. And as far as a coach is concerned, that's a coach's job as far as motivating someone to be more aggressive if they aren't. Because I think people would argue that Dirk Nowitzki started out as being, having that label of being soft, but now, he still might have part of that label. At the same time, like, no one's questioning his determination or his aggressiveness or his will to get the job done. So you just have to learn to. And that comes in when people use language and what language you're using to describe people, and as far as really distinguishing between their aggression level versus something that is part of who they are.
Let's talk Michael Sam a little bit. You guys took different tacks.
Yeah.
And I'm not making a value judgment here. And I think in some ways that might be the difference between being 35 and 24, as much as whether it's sport or personality. How would you respectfully critique the sequence of events in his announcement?
As far as coming out, everybody has their own path as far as how they want to make that announcement. He worked with Howard Bragman. I spoke with Michael. I went over to Howard's house the Friday before Michael made the announcement. Got an opportunity to spend some time with Howard and then also with Michael, and just within the first 5-10 minutes of having a conversation with Michael, just seeing how comfortable he is with being gay, and just it's like so big effing deal. Like, this is who I am. And just so I was very proud of him because at 24, 25, I was nowhere near comfortable. I was in complete denial at that point. So just seeing how comfortable he was in his skin. And then, they, did the announcement that way. Everything is, I wouldn't critique anything except for the documentary, which obviously he called out flack about. I think it was with the OWN network.
And you turned down various.
I turned down at least 6, at least.
Because?
You always want to, the first thing is, I don't like people following me in my own house with the camera. That's just like my own personal level. But then also, anytime even if you're going to say that it's from like a historical standpoint documentary, some people are just going to equate cameras following you around with reality TV, with Kardashian, with scripted, with not being, quote unquote, real. And you never want to go down that path, or even give people an excuse to go down that path. Because you're always going to have, I don't know, I call them the haters, some people, a better word, I guess, detractors, whatever, who are looking for any excuse possible. Some would say, when you were talking earlier about how he's older and his skill set, coming up with excuses. So don't, and Arn was very wise as far as don't give them any ammunition, any added ammunition. And that would be the only thing where I would say that was a misstep. And, I don't know how that decision, went into being, but I'm glad that they did reverse course on that, and I think they said that they are indefinitely postponing it.
You weren't a fan of the cake video.
Well, the cake, that was funny. So that day, we were playing against the Miami Heat in Brooklyn, and Michael gets drafted, and the kiss was great. As far as your draft day, it's hard to explain the emotional high that you're getting on, because it's like your realization that your number one all-time dream is coming true. Like, your dream job is right there. Like, your name has been announced. So you want to share that with your loved ones, and I thought that was a great moment to share. However, the white, wedding cake, and as a veteran, when you're get to my age and you see your incoming rookie, regardless if he's straight, gay, it doesn't matter. When he's smearing cake in his significant other's face, that's like, when you're in the locker room, guys love to, bust each other's chops, talk trash. Like, you could talk about, oh, look at your shoes. Like, why do you wear those? They look like, So you can talk about anything, but it's sort of like, again, it goes back to don't give people ammunition like that. And because if I'm the veteran and I see my rookie, like, oh, that's cool with the kid, and then you're like, oh, he likes cake, I see. So, as soon as he walks in, I'm going to have a cake. welcome to the team, rookie, or but I don't know if his teammates, and that's a good way of sort of like breaking the ice with someone using humor. But in this day and age, and we don't know what the specifics are as far as, would they be afraid to make that joke? Would they be? Personally, I would make the joke, and then, seeing his reaction, you would go up to him and say, hey, because this is something that a good veteran would say, is like, hey, we're going to, welcome to the team, the way to welcome you, you're one of us, we're going to talk trash about you just like one of us, but we're not going to cross the line, and know that this is, all good humor, and if you feel that it ever gets to a point where it crosses the line as your veteran, because I have been the captain of the team, I would say, if you feel that something ever has crossed the line, come to me aside, and then we'll go in and we'll try to address whatever issue is going on in the locker room. So I think that would be a great way as far as just like that team bonding and sort of like breaking the ice over this, that cloud, that elephant in the room as far as like how do we deal with, Michael Sanders. It's just like, you deal with him just like you would with anyone. It's like if any veteran sees a incoming rookie do something like that, you would definitely joke about that. And it's just, but hey, again, that misstep, but that's just like a rookie mistake. You're going to make a bunch of rookie mistakes. And then the own network thing, I think that's better that they revisit that way down the line.
I want to ask you about Kevin Garnett. When you got to Brooklyn, team leader. Just to give everybody a perspective who might not know Kevin Garnett, NBA champion, long time veteran,
Hall of Famer.
By the way, incidentally, a guy who was regarded as soft in Minnesota until he got to Boston. Regarded as one of the more intense players in the league. Has been known to get on all fours and bark at an opposing point guard as they bring the ball up. Kind of his own character. There's great stories. Also a guy who was caught on camera a few years ago on a Thursday night TNT game, after an emphatic, I think, run by his team, using the F word to just generically, I think, but it still was caught by even the most rudimentary lip readers. So I think for those of us who we looked up and down. One of the first things I did was look up and down the Brooklyn roster, just to remind myself, okay, how is this going to play? Well, Jason Kidd, your coach, was a teammate on the finals team. Paul Pierce had, a guy who had been one of the most positive when you came out. Darren Williams, the point guard, had played with your brother closely in Utah. Joe Johnson was a teammate of yours in Atlanta. And then I was like, and KG, Kevin Garnett, like, how's that going to play, and how did it play?
Well, again, just to add to give you some background on Kevin, he's one of those intense people that you'll meet in your life that you could ask Kevin, like, how's the weather outside? And he'll talk about it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and at the end, like, he'll come off, like, maybe with tears coming down his face because he gets so intense just talking about stuff. He's just an intense human being. And then you put that in the atmosphere of the arena during the game, and he's gotten into it with numerous guys as far as his trash talking. And when I was playing against him earlier on in my career, I was annoyed because I'm like, you don't, and mind you, I first played against him when I was a sophomore in high school. He was a senior in high school. He had 19 blocks against my team. They killed us. It was one of those ass whoopings that you get. You're like, okay, I need to go practice immediately if I want to continue to play this sport. And I got annoyed though because I was like, you're so good. You don't need to do that. Like, you don't need to, really rub it in someone's face with attacking them. But as his teammate, I learned that he isn't necessarily talking to them. He's just like one of those guys that loves to hear himself talking. That's his way of getting himself going. It gets him to another level of intensity. And as his teammate, you really gain to appreciate that because it gets you going. Like, yeah, so you call him Ticket. You're like, yeah, Ticket, talk that trash. You're like, go ahead.
Sure, the trash is punctuated with terms that we would probably regard as homophobic.
Yeah, like that one you could talk to him at a later moment but Kevin, we were flying, it was early on after I signed with the Nets. It was probably after our second game. Our first games were at LA, at Portland, at Denver, at Milwaukee. And I think it was in between going from Portland to Denver. We were sitting across from each other. I had my headphones on, watching some movie on the plane, and Kevin taps me. I'm looking like, yeah, what's going on, ticket? And he's like, hey, I just want you to know that, you know, I'm really happy that you're here. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, what you've done, what you're doing, this is going to affect so many people. And like, having that conversation with me as far as like the historical significance, the impact, and really being in that moment, like really taking time to express that with his words and just how proud he was of me and me being with the team and how welcoming, it was huge. And also, though, you know, my head was still spinning as far as like, I'm still trying to learn the plays. I'm trying not to look at it because I'm like in the middle of the seat, like, this is the first, you know, few games back. Like, I'm not trying to look at it like, I'm looking at it like, I just got signed to a 10-day contract. I need to work hard. I need to learn the plays. I need to, so that I can sign another 10-day contract and then hopefully get signed for the rest of the year. So I'm in that kind of mind frame, but then he's putting me in that, like, you know, let's take a time out on the plane, like, talk about, like, the historical significance. And that's another reason why he's just a phenomenal human being. He is, you know, but he has his horns. He's intense, but he's once you're inside, it's sort of like a German Shepherd, like an attack dog. Like, you know, once the attack dog is like on your side or on your, you know, it's a really special thing.
And I tend to be an optimist in the NBA, and maybe I'm just overly hopeful. And I know there's still a segment of the NBA community that's apprehensive, but you know, you take a guy like KG. I mean, here's a guy for whom faggot was part of his daily on-court vernacular, whether it had connotations that way or not. And here he is, you know, probably 2-3 seasons later, having, by his own motivation, you know, coming up to you on a team playing. And to me, it feeds into that idea that, look, when you know somebody in the workplace, the entire equation changes. And that's really cool. I know we're probably getting toward the end. I want to leave time for questions. So I'll give you kind of a open-ended question. We're up here 10 years from today, and the topic of the seminar or the talk is revisiting the first decade of the out-gay professional athlete. How does this play out from here in the next 10 years? I mean, what is it going to be like?
Well, I think we see it more and more with now Derek Gordon in college basketball. It's going to be from the college guys. You know, I don't know, you know, when the next professional athlete is going to, but you can see it also with the guy from Arizona State who just came out. And, you know, there's going to be more and more active athletes, male, because females have been doing this for years. As far as males go, we have a long way to catch up to the women, because women have taken the lead as far as Martina Navratilova, Billie King. Martina has been out since the 80s, and it's that's why she's one of my idols. And I was very fortunate to speak on the floor of the United Nations with her in December. Just one of those surreal moments. I have a lot of those going on in my life, but there are so many trailblazers who have come before me, and again, that's, you know, made it easier for me, and that's what I'm doing, is making it easier for the next person. And each person, each time, a Michael Sam, Robbie Rogers, Derek Gordon, you know, every time, you know, we come forward, it'll make it easier for the next generation.
Is it useful, you know, ever since the amazing Kate Fagan, I don't know if you guys got a chance to meet her, one of my favorite people, thrilled she's at ESPN, I've gotten to actually edit her, and you know, she moved on from the Phillies Sixers beat. I think I'm the last openly gay person who covers the league nationally, or any league, any of the big three on a daily basis.
On a daily basis, yeah.
And my question is, how do we get more openly? And this, you might not be able to answer this, but first of all, would it be constructive? Maybe it's an obvious question to have more men and women on the beat who are openly gay.
Yeah, I think so. I'm one of those people that I never tell someone what they should and shouldn't do. Other than give them advices like when you do come out, your life is going to be so much better. And again, you will be making it easier not only for yourself but also for the next person that comes out. And just trying to really know that, yeah, you are going to get, maybe on Twitter, some people will, in my case, you get death threats, but, just some harsh words. You just learn to ignore that. You learn to block that out. I equate that to, fans, can boo. I mean, Derek Jeter got booed at Yankee Stadium, so he was looking at hitting someone. So if that can happen to Derek Jeter, anything, it can happen to us all. And it's like you just take it in stride.
I think it was the great Chicago columnist Mike Louisville, I'm sure we have devotees here, who once said, sports fans are the greatest assholes in America. Not always.
Not always, but then also...
I just wanted to play territorial.
Yeah, that is hard to those people who are compared to the supporters, the people who have your back, the people who uplift you. It's incredible. It really is.
Let's take questions.